Golf sells you a perfect dream. It promises smooth swings and soaring shots. But at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, that dream shatters. This is golf's gladiator pit. For 1 week, the polite clapping stops. A crowd of 20,000 chugs beer and screams in players' faces. This is what happens when golf's concentration breaks. We start our list with a moment that proves you don't need a rowdy crowd to destroy your chances. Sometimes, you just need a massive ego and a rush of adrenaline. In 2014 at TPC Scottsdale, Bubba Watson proved a massive ego and a rush of adrenaline can be more destructive than any crowd. Entering the 18th hole on Sunday tied for the lead, Bubba, a polarizing talent who disliked the course, was set to face off with Kevin Stadler, the small Roos, a journeyman without a PGA Tour win. The contrast was stark. Bubba unleashed a 358-yard drive, leaving a simple wedge to the green. Stadler, playing safely from far back, found the middle of the green, hoping for par. With the tournament in his hands, Bubba needed only a routine approach to secure a playoff or win. But adrenaline took over. His wedge shot flew over the green and into trampled gallery rough, a shocking error with a scoring club. Stadler two-putted for par. Bubba, now needing to get up and down from a tough lie, bladed his chip past the hole and missed the comeback putt. Kevin Stadler, the unexpected journeyman, became champion. Bubba Watson, the superior talent, had given it away with a mental lapse at the worst possible moment. It showed that at golf's highest level, power means nothing without control in the final minutes. Bubba would win the Masters later that year, but in that moment, watching Stadler celebrate, he felt pure competitive pain. Pro golfers aren't accustomed to heckling. They're raised in hushed country clubs, so Phoenix's raucous atmosphere is a shock. Justin Leonard, a stoic, major champion, was the last guy expected to snap. But in the late 90s, as the 16th hole morphed into a coliseum, he had a rough day. The Phoenix crowd doesn't just cheer, they boo bad shots, making it feel personal. After a poor shot, boos rained down. A specific shout cut through, and Leonard broke. The consummate professional calmly locked eyes with a section and extended his middle finger. It was a raw moment of genuine hatred, a loss of dignity. It showed the gentleman's game was dead in Scottsdale. If Leonard could be pushed to flip off the crowd, nobody was safe. That gesture changed the tournament's vibe. It validated the fans, proving they had power to get under the skin of the world's best. Once a crowd realizes they can affect the outcome, the chaos truly begins. We need a moment of levity, but even the fun at Phoenix had a brutal edge. For years, the 16th hole featured the legendary Caddie Races. After players hit their tee shots, the crowd would erupt, chanting caddy names like Bones, Stevie. The caddies would then oblige, sprinting 150 yards to the green while carrying 40 to 50-pound tour bags. The crowd went wild, betting on the chaos. It was hilarious, yet brutal. These were often middle-aged men with bad knees, running full speed in spikes on grass with awkward, heavy loads. We saw wipeouts, collisions, and caddies collapsing on the green, gasping for air. The PGA Tour banned the races in 2014 for safety, worried about serious injuries. It was the right call, ending the Wild West era as organizers reined in the chaos. It's brutal because it was tremendously fun, lost to the threat of potential lawsuits. But for a few glorious years, the biggest athletes on that hole weren't the golfers. They were the guys carrying the bags. That looked exhausting. Thankfully, subscribing takes zero cardio. Hit the button so we can afford to clean up the beer cans after this video. Let's keep going. The 2024 Phoenix Open was the complete operational collapse of the tournament itself. For years, marketing pushed the People's Open to ever larger, rowdier crowds. In 2024, a perfect storm broke it. Rain turned the grassy hills into mud, forcing over 200,000 Saturday fans into paved areas. A biblical human traffic jam ensued. Movement was impossible, waits for essentials stretched to 40 minutes, and crushing crowds turned dangerous. The organizers panicked. They locked the gates, barring valid ticket holders, then made the unthinkable move. They stopped selling alcohol. The reaction was an open revolt. A thunderous chant of, "We want beer!" erupted, audible on TV broadcasts. as players tried to compete. The party atmosphere curdled into chaos. The fallout was staggering. Arrests tripled to 54, ejections doubled, and viral videos showed fights and a fan making sand angels in a bunker. It was deeply embarrassing for the PGA Tour. This was the moment the tournament's marketed chaos spawned real, unmanageable chaos. The 2024 Open is remembered as the year the party died, proving there is a limit, and the event had brutally found it. When crowds and alcohol mix, someone will inevitably take their clothes off. In 2023, we got the king of streakers. This was no mere dash across the fairway. During the second round, as players studied a putt on the 16th green, a man in only a Speedo sprinted out. He grabbed the flagstick and began a full pole dance just feet from the professionals. The crowd erupted. But his act wasn't over. He evaded security, ran to the 17th hole, and dove into the pond, swimming until police fished him out. This is brutal because it shows a complete disregard for the competition. Imagine this during the Super Bowl's final moments. It would be a scandal. At Phoenix, it's just Friday. For the players, it reduces them to background actors. For those minutes, no one cared about the golf or the leaderboard. Only the man in the Speedo mattered. It underscores that at TPC Scottsdale, the spectacle comes first. The sport is secondary. For athletes competing for millions, it's a hard pill to swallow. You must wait for a streaker to put his pants on before you can putt. Your support helps us cover the sport, not just the streakers. Smash that subscribe button now. Let's keep going. Now we move from the funny to the genuinely heartbreaking. This is the story of Sahith Theegala. In 2022, Sahith was a rookie. He was playing on a sponsor's exemption. He didn't have his tour card secured. He was driving a Volkswagen Passat and living with his parents. He was the ultimate underdog, and he was leading the tournament. He played with this incredible energy. The fans fell in love with him. He was high-fiving people. He was smiling. He looked like he belonged. He comes to the 17th hole on Sunday tied for the lead. The 17th is a drivable par 4. It is a risk-reward hole. There is water on the left, but if you hit a good shot, you can have an eagle putt to win the tournament. Sahith pulls a hybrid. He hits a perfect shot. He said it himself later. He thought he nailed it. He played a little cut. It was tracking right for the middle of the green. But TPC Scottsdale is firm. The desert ground is hard. The ball lands on the fairway. And instead of bouncing forward, it takes a wicked, hard kick to the left. It was gravity betraying him. The ball starts rolling toward the water. And it rolls. And it rolls. It is agonizingly slow. It hangs on the edge of the bank for a split second. And then... bloop. It's gone. The crowd groaned. You could see the color drain from Sahith's face. He makes a bogey. He misses the playoff by one shot. Scottie Scheffler goes on to win. After the round, Sahith couldn't hold it together. He was crying in the interview area. He was devastated. He kept saying, "I thought I hit a great shot." That is the brutality of this game. You can do everything right. You can handle the pressure. You can hit the shot you wanted to hit. And a random bump in the turf can cost you $1 million and your first PGA Tour title. It was a cruel lesson for the rookie. The desert doesn't care if you are a nice guy. It doesn't care if you are a great story. It will take your ball and it will break your heart. If Sahith Theegala was a victim of bad luck, Spencer Levin was a victim of panic. The year is 2012. Spencer Levin enters the final round with a 6-shot lead. In professional golf, a 6-shot lead is massive. The computers give you a 95% chance to win. All you have to do is stay upright and breathe. But the pressure of the Phoenix Open does strange things to the brain. Levin starts leaking oil early. He makes a few bogeys. The lead starts to shrink. Kyle Stanley is making a charge. Then they get to the par 5 15th hole. Levin hits a bad drive. He pushes it way right into the desert scrub. He walks up to his ball, and it is sitting right at the base of a chala cactus. Now, a rational person takes a penalty drop. You take your medicine. You make a bogey, maybe a par if you hit a great wedge. You are still in the tournament. But Levin isn't rational right now. He is panicking. He sees his lead evaporating. He feels the tournament slipping away. He decides to hit it. It is painful to watch. He has to take this weird, contorted stance so he doesn't get needles in his legs. He takes a swing that looks like he is chopping wood. He gets the ball out, but he doesn't get it far enough. He is still in trouble. Then, the compounding error. He tries to hit his next shot onto the green, and he dumps it into the water. From the cactus to the drink. He makes a double bogey 7. The lead is gone. The tournament is gone. He finishes third. The image of his caddy pulling cactus needles out of his clothes is the perfect metaphor for the day. Levin got stung. It was a total psychological collapse. He went from being the king of the course to a guy hacking out of a bush in the span of 2 hours. The brutality here is self-inflicted. It is the voice in your head telling you to be a hero when you should just be smart. It is the panic that sets in when you realize 20,000 people are watching you fail. Spencer Levin never won on the PGA Tour. That Sunday in Phoenix might have been his best chance, and he left it in the desert, right next to that cactus. Before we hit the top 3, let's pause. Did we miss your favorite brutal moment? Let us know in the comments. And subscribe so we can keep tracking these train wrecks for you. We are getting into the top 3 now, and I want to shift gears. We have talked about anger. We have talked about choking. We have talked about drunken chaos. But sometimes, brutality isn't about a negative emotion. Sometimes it is about a moment so beautiful that it hurts to look at it in hindsight. Number 3 is Jarrod Lyle's hole-in-one in 2011. If you don't know Jarrod's story, you need to. He was this big, lovable Australian. He had a smile that could light up a room. He wasn't a superstar in terms of trophies, but he was a superstar in the locker room. Everybody loved him. But Jarrod carried a heavy weight. He had beaten leukemia as a teenager to make it to the PGA Tour. He was a survivor. He was living on borrowed time, and he played like it. He played with joy. In 2011, he stepped up to the 16th tee. It was Saturday. The crowd was fully juiced. He pulled an 8-iron, 150 yards. He hit this pure, high draw. The ball landed softly, took a couple of little hops, and disappeared into the cup. The place exploded. But it wasn't the angry, aggressive noise you hear today. It was pure joy. Jarrod threw his arms up. He hugged his caddy. He was beaming. It was the highlight of his career. For that 1 minute, he was the king of the world, surrounded by 20,000 people screaming his name. So why is this on a list of brutal moments? Because we know the end of the story. A year later, the cancer came back. He fought it off again. He returned to the tour. He tried so hard to be a normal dad and a normal golfer. But in 2017, it came back a third time. And this time, it was aggressive. Jarrod Lyle passed away in 2018. He was 36 years old. He left behind a wife and 2 little girls. When you watch that clip of the ace now, it hits you in the gut. You see a man at the absolute peak of his life, soaking in the adulation, completely unaware of the tragedy waiting around the corner. It is brutal because it reminds us how fragile this whole thing is. We get so wrapped up in who wins the trophy, who makes the putt, who wins the bet. We forget that these guys are human beings fighting their own battles. That ace at the 16th is immortal. It will be played in highlight reels forever. But now, it comes with a lump in your throat. It is a moment of perfect sunshine that makes the sunset feel that much darker. You knew this was coming. You cannot talk about the Phoenix Open without talking about the moment that created the monster. It is 1997. The world is changing. The internet is dial-up. Michael Jordan is winning championships. And a 21-year-old kid named Tiger Woods is in the process of reinventing the sport of golf. Before 1997, the 16th hole at Phoenix was loud. Sure, it was a party. But it wasn't the Coliseum. It didn't have the grandstands fully wrapping around. It was just a par 3 with a lot of people. Then Tiger stepped on the tee. You have to look at the context. Tiger had just turned pro. He hadn't won the Masters yet. That would happen a few months later. He was a phenomenon, but he was still proving himself. He steps up. He hits a 9-iron, 152 yards. The ball takes 1 bounce, 2 bounces, and then it just vanishes. The sound that came out of that gallery was not a golf roar. It was a jet engine. It was a sonic boom. Reports from that day say that the windows in the clubhouse, which is hundreds of yards away, actually rattled from the acoustic pressure. But it wasn't just the noise, it was the reaction. Tiger didn't just tip his cap. He didn't just smile. He started raising the roof, he pumped his arms, he ignited the crowd, and the crowd responded by throwing things. This is the patient zero moment for the beer showers. It wasn't a deluge like we see today, but you saw cups flying onto the tee box. You saw water bottles. It was the first time we saw the barrier between the fan and the athlete completely dissolve. It was brutal for the traditionalists. The old guard of golf looked at that and clutched their pearls. They said, "This isn't golf. This is a circus." They were right, and it was awesome. That single shot changed the economic trajectory of the entire tournament. It turned the Phoenix Open into a destination. Every year after that, they added more seats. They sold more beer. They wanted to recreate that Tiger moment. It is brutal because of the standard it set. Every player who has walked onto that tee for the last 30 years is chasing that ghost. They want that roar. They want that energy. But nobody has ever matched it. We have had other aces. We have had other great moments. But nothing will ever equal the raw, explosive power of Tiger Woods in 1997. It was the moment golf stopped being a country club sport and started being a rock concert. And here we are, number one. The moment that broke the internet. The moment that might have actually broken the tournament forever. Let's fast forward to 2025. The tournament has spent 3 decades trying to top the Tiger Woods moment. They have built the stadium bigger. They have sold more tickets. They have encouraged the greenest show on grass to be the wildest party on earth. And in 2025, they got exactly what they asked for, and it was terrifying. Emiliano Grillo, a solid player, a veteran. He steps up to the 16th on Friday. He hits a shot that is actually better than Tiger's. He slam dunks it. The ball flies 155 yards and goes straight into the cup on the fly. No bounce, just smash. It was an incredible athletic achievement, but you almost couldn't see it. Because the second the ball disappeared, the sky fell. We aren't talking about a few cups. We are talking about a bombardment. It looked like medieval warfare. Thousands of beer cans, plastic cups, water bottles, and who knows what else rained down on the 16th hole. It was a beer shower that turned into a beer flood. The brutality here was the total loss of control. You had players ducking for cover. You had caddies trying to shield their players with golf bags. The green was completely covered. You couldn't see the grass, and it didn't stop. It kept coming. The fans were in a frenzy. They weren't celebrating Grillo anymore. They were celebrating themselves. They were celebrating the chaos. It took over 20 minutes to clear the green. They had to bring out leaf blowers. They had to bring out shovels. And while this was happening, the vibe shifted. It went from fun to dangerous. You saw the look on the other players' faces. They weren't laughing. They were pissed. They were cold. They were wet. They were trying to play a professional sport for millions of dollars, and they were standing in a garbage dump. This moment is number one because it represents the tipping point. It is the moment where the brutality of the Phoenix Open stopped being a metaphor and started being a physical reality. It forced the PGA Tour to ask the hard question, have we gone too far? When you have a crowd that is so drunk and so rowdy that they literally stop the tournament because a guy did something good, you have a problem. You have crossed the line from atmosphere to anarchy. Grillo's ace was a masterpiece. The reaction was a disaster. And that conflict between the beauty of the golf and the ugliness of the excess is the perfect summary of the Waste Management Phoenix Open. So, there you have it. The car crashes, the meltdowns, the streakers, the tears, and the beer. The Phoenix Open is brutal. There is no other word for it. It is brutal on the nerves. It is brutal on the liver. It is brutal on the scorecard. But here is the thing. We need it. Golf is a sport that takes itself very seriously. It is a sport of rules and silence and collars. The Phoenix Open is the 1 week a year where we take all that and throw it in the trash. It reminds us that sports are supposed to be entertainment. They are supposed to make us feel something. Whether you are watching Spencer Levin kick a cactus, or Ricky Fowler cry, or Tiger Woods raise the roof, you are feeling something visceral. You are seeing the rawest human emotions on display. Is it fair? No. Is it dignified? Absolutely not. Is it the most entertaining week in golf? Without a doubt. So, here's to the chaos. Here's to the noise. Here's to the brutality. Got a personal golf horror story of your own? Share it in the comments. Let's suffer together. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more. Until next time, may your shots be straight and your cooler always be full.